With so much software and so many services available in the short-term rental industry these days, it's increasingly difficult to keep up to date with what's on the market and to determine whether it's a maybe or a must-have for you and your business. So meet one provider each week in a short interview, learning what they do and what they offer. So if you have around 20 minutes to spare, it could prove to be a very good investment to stick around. So let's see who and what is out there, one by one, with me, Deborah Larby, also known as the Guest Inspector. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Techsplained with the Guest Inspector. So you have a back-to-back booking and the guests checking out want to leave their luggage as they have a late flight. What do you do? If you can't help them, that's not a great feeling for your guest. In fact, it's a really frustrating feeling for them. They may think, why didn't we just book a hotel? But what if you can help them and offer them a solution? Happy guests. So today we're going to learn about a solution for those early arriving guests and those late checkout guests and how you can help them. Today I'm chatting with Jacob, who will explain to us what Stasher does. Good morning, Jacob. How are you?
Good morning, Deborah. How you doing? I'm well, thank you.
I'm well, thank you too. Thank you very much for coming along today. Jacob, as usual, we're going to launch straight into it. Can you tell me in one sentence, what does Stasher do?
Okay, so Stasher is a luggage storage platform for travelers, providing storage space in shops and hotels.
Lovely. I'm a property manager and I want to offer this service to my guests. Even if it's a one-off thing, I want to help this guest. What do I do? How can I help them?
So in the event of a one-off thing, it's as simple as pointing your guest to stasher.com. And to expand on that one sentence description in a little bit more detail, we work with shops and hotels all around the world, and they make their extra space available so the guests can leave their luggage there. Oh, sorry, there's a motorbike outside. I don't know if that was coming through loud in the recording. So we let them make their space available for guests to store their luggage. And as a property manager, you can just point your guests to the website. If you want to build more of a relationship with us, which obviously we'd love, we can offer discounts, commissions, tracking links, etc., so that you can have Stasher really built into part of your guest check-in, check-out flow and make it easier for them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, I do understand that this platform is actually predominantly designed for the guest. So we're going to flip it now, and we're going to talk about what does the guest see? So what is the guest journey once they get onto Stasher? Their journey.
So it's actually, good question. And it's very similar in design to something like ordering an Uber. It's designed to be on demand. As a guest, you basically go in and you enter either your current location or where you expect to need to store your bag. You'll be presented with a map of options. You can choose from whatever hotels or shops are available on the website, depending on what's convenient for you. I know that's a question later, but I'll probably say the word convenience a lot today. And when you make that selection, the booking is really, really affordable. That's another key point. So you'll pay, depending on where you are in the world, anything between €5 to £7 pounds or dollars per bag that you store. And it's honestly as simple as that, because then you get your confirmation email, you go to the store or hotel, leave the bag with them, they store it securely, you come back and collect it. And in the meantime, that's the key thing. You suddenly have all this time that you can enjoy to really make the most out of your trip, as opposed to the classic, slightly painful scenario if you check out, you while away time in a cafe, watching your bags, kind of one eye on them, watching the clock with the other. So hopefully it makes things a lot more fun.
Yeah. One of the things that I liked about the dashboard is that you could put the address of where you're going to stay. So you can leave your bag somewhere near the address that you're going to stay or that you're checking out from. So it's not just a city, it's a street location, and it gives you the map view. So you can see how far you've got to schlep your suitcase to the storage place. I was really impressed with that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's exactly like you say. I mean, it's so difficult. Every trip is different, right? And every travel experience is made more or less convenient depending on what your specific plans are. So we actually even get hotel guests that use us because they'll check out in one side of town, but actually it's better to come leave the bag near Paddington, explore London, and then take the Heathrow Express on, just for example, as opposed to going back to the hotel wherever it is on the other side of town from where you're traveling. So it's it's really catering to all kinds of travelers, but particularly in the case of property managers, where, as you said in your introduction, it may be more convenient to roll over your back-to-back bookings without having to make these special arrangements. Then you've always got Stasher offering you somewhere near or far around the city. Hopefully, I mean, we're expanding all the time, so somewhere like London is extremely well covered. We have over 200 drop-off points, and in other new cities around the world, particularly Latin America at the moment, we may have 1 or 2 places in your chosen city, and we're always working to add more.
Well, one of the other things that I realized is it's not just drop your bag off until your plane or until your check-in. You can actually store your bag for a number of days.
Oh, you totally can. Yeah.
You just want to take an overnight because you're going somewhere for a few days. You can leave your big suitcase somewhere. So that is great.
Yeah. It's the transit use case. And we frequently see that with travelers coming into places like Heathrow. They might leave their bag even for up to a week because they've got that as their hub, but they're traveling up to Scotland for a bit or into Europe, wherever it is. You've got that whole convenience play for longer term bookings as well.
And then, so the thing is, the map view, when you click on it, that screen, it shows you all the drop-off points. It shows you the opening hours of the drop-off. So I suppose if you are landing at midnight and you want your bag, and don't select that one because they're not going to be open at midnight. And
totally.
Reviews. So of course, reviews are so important. So even the luggage storage spot has reviews. So that's great.
Yeah. And to be honest with that one, I mean, we actually find an extremely useful system for ourselves to monitor and make sure the service we're providing is always a good one. I suppose one of the challenges is we're working with so many shops and hotels around the world, and we're not there physically to guarantee the standard of service. So actually taking that user generated feedback and being able to address problems when they come up, and obviously also being able to reward service that's really good when we see places consistently getting 5 stars. It's a really useful feedback mechanism for us. It's how we hope to make the platform better. So
okay, my question as a guest, though, I'm about to rock up and leave my suitcase. How do you make me feel safe? How do I know that I can trust this person to look after my suitcase and not rummage through it? How do you verify the place?
It's an excellent question, and I think given where we're at in our sort of product cycle of, we've had hundreds of thousands of customers now, we've stored nearly 1 million bags, but it's still a relatively unknown service. It's still a relatively new proposition. I think most people are using it for the first time. So it's totally natural to have these exact kind of concerns like you're mentioning. And we do our best to address them in a number of different ways. The first thing I'd say is, when we're signing up the hotels or the stores, we'll talk to every single one. We'll make sure that they have a secure storage area. That's basically the essential requirement. Features like CCTV are strongly encouraged, and things that make us more likely to accept a place. And I guess, just the experience we have of approving them and signing them up. If we get a good sort of vibe going with this place, that's always good. Someone who's reliable, someone who replies to us. These are the kind of things that make us likely to approve places, because we do get applications that we reject if we just think, what, this doesn't feel suitable, or it's likely that our guests wouldn't feel confident using them. Second of all, as a guest, every bag that you store with us is insured up to £1,000, euros or dollars equivalent, against loss, theft, or damage. I'm really happy to say we've only ever had to use that like 3 times in nearly 1 million bags. So it's very rare that there are instances. I'd be lying if I said there were no instances. Of course, stuff can go wrong. However, in general, when you store a bag in a locked room, there are only so many things that can realistically go wrong. And the times that's happened have been, unfortunately, when, a hotel got completely looted. So that was sad. That was also during COVID, which was just double headache. But in general, people are really reliable. And you do have that deal as well to make sure if the worst case happens, that we can help out. But like I said, it doesn't happen very often, which is great. We also always have customer support on hand to deal with any issues that you might have. It's 24/7. So yeah, hopefully those are all measures that make people feel a little bit more comfortable. And like I said earlier, I mean, the reviews are also a user-generated feedback mechanism so that we can always see how people's experiences are, and you can learn from other people's and feel a little bit more secure about where you choose. We also try and work with reputable brands wherever we can. So in the UK, for example, we work with over 300 Premier Inn hotels, which is, you know, the kind of brand that people recognize and therefore feel quite comfortable leaving their bags at.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I noticed that they have different nightly rates. Well, different hourly rates.
Yeah.
You can even shop around for budget.
This is it. We this is actually a relatively new feature. We charge by the day, and we like to make it a flat fee because we've looked at hourly pricing before, but just always worried it gave you that kind of parking meter feeling, and that's not what you know. Given the whole point is like put your bags away, have fun, enjoy your last afternoon. The last thing you want is to be like, better get back in 10 minutes before the bag becomes more expensive. You know, it's not what we're going for. But yeah, we've started introducing. Well, basically started giving our locations a little bit more flexibility in setting their own prices. Because in the past, when we first started, we were like, we'll set a standard rate so we can guarantee it's affordable. But coming out of COVID and, you know, particularly as the platform's getting busier and actually we're finding some of our places are just filling up every day. If they have limited capacity, they might only allow space for 10 bags and then they'll fill up every day. So it's actually nice to let them set the price that they feel is fair for the service they're offering. So it, I guess, is then it maybe makes it slightly more effort for the customer, but you won't see a huge variation in prices, to be honest. It's, you know.
No, that just sort of now completes the picture because the way I would describe Stasher is it's a listing site for luggage storage. It works exactly like a listing site. The sites are there. You've got the nightly rate. You can stay as long as you want, short stay, long stay. You pay for it.
Yeah.
Pay online. And then you get the address after you've booked it.
Yeah.
Here's
Exactly.
a listing site for luggage storage. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Can we go back to being a property manager again and directing the guest to this site, given that it's a listing site? So what sort of referrals does a property manager get and how can it work for them?
Yeah, so we've been working really hard on this, particularly coming out of COVID. It was something we just started to work on before COVID. So the timing there was a little bit sad and unfortunate, not just for us, for everyone, obviously. But we've now got a really nice system that I'm really pleased with to make life easy for property managers. So the essential feature is, as a property manager, if you want to work with us, you can sign up free to get a unique tracking link. And that is something you can use to direct your guests to either our homepage so they can search themselves, or if you're quite specific in where you're located, if you've got limited properties, for example, you can direct it straight to that part of the map. But essentially, this tracking link will function to track how many people are visiting, booking, using the service that you refer. And then furthermore, we can either offer commissions or discounts to you as a property manager for referring guests. Obviously, it's super valuable to us. It basically forms part of our marketing mix. So hopefully it's a win-win arrangement where you're able to provide a useful service to your guests. And obviously that's mutually beneficial. We are very flexible about how we work. So we offer property managers normally our standard is up to 20% discount or commission or both. You can literally blend a mix. So we find frequently people do 10 and 10, give the guests 10% off and earn a 10% commission for providing that. But really, yeah, it's all fairly straightforward. And what we then encourage is, when you've got this tracking link, the key is to kind of get the placement right to make it as useful as possible. So things like including it in your customer support macros, in your pre-confirmation email or your sort of pre-check-in, check-out emails. And I guess just making sure anyone sort of working around the property is just aware to say, oh yeah, use this maybe on FAQs if you have that kind of setup, or on your sort of OTA listings. Just basically making people aware, because I know particularly the extended checkout or the early check-in are common requests, and obviously if you can accommodate that, that's fantastic. But if you can't, then this is probably your best alternative.
It feels, as a property manager, it used to feel really bad saying can't help you and knowing that they've got to carry their bag around with them.
Exactly.
It feels really bad, but to be able to offer this kind of service, and to me that would definitely go in the pre-arrival email. If I can't accommodate you for whatever reason, then here's a service that you could use so you can enjoy the morning until check-in time.
Absolutely.
And if they ask for a late checkout, and I'm really sorry, but then you can still help the guest. So that's really, really nice. That's great service.
It's spot on, I think, because that saying no, especially on the sort of checkout one, is like you just don't want to end on a bad impression, do you?
No.
You've provided such a great stay, they've had a lovely time. You don't want to end on that note of like, no, sorry, you're on your own, I can't help you. You don't want to leave that sort of slightly sour feeling. So I think it's something we've noticed as well with property managers who do work with us is we've always said we hope it has a positive effect on reviews, and that seems to be the case, that they'll report back and say, oh, it actually made for a really nice end to the trip and that was really helpful and the guests were grateful for it.
Yeah, great. Now we're going to move on a little bit. What is your unique selling point? Do you have
Okay.
one?
So I spoiled this earlier by saying convenience, but I would say if I could sum up Stasher in one word, I think convenience is the absolutely key USP that we offer to everyone who's involved with it. Because for property managers, it's the convenience of being able to, not have to accommodate these special requests and to roll on multiple bookings. For guests, it's the convenience of finding somewhere cheap, but also having a range of options. Because in the past, if you were looking for a service like this, you'd have been looking at station lockers. Obviously, they're limited in the locations they offer, and generally, I mean, the ones in London I can speak for with some knowledge, they're extremely expensive. They'll be like £15 per bag per day. So, you don't want to get ripped off by that. So the convenience is definitely the main thing I would say there. Yeah.
And because I haven't heard the word convenience enough yet, why would I use the product?
Why would you use the product? I think, we've probably made the use case really clear. It is very particularly useful for, well, it's very convenient, very particularly useful for travelers, especially before you check in or after you check out. That said, we accommodate all sorts of use cases. So we talked about hotel guests needing it. Events is a whole other industry that we can serve by providing spaces near theatres or stadiums or anywhere that might have a strict bag policy. You have people sort of making day trips, staying with friends, where actually it's a little bit more convenient than asking your friend to basically provide a late check-in or check-out. And then business travel is actually, for now, a relatively small section of what we do. And I don't know how much that's also just related to rates being low after COVID. But again, there's lots of sort of use cases there. Was that what you were meaning with the question?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's more to do with convenience again. Why would I use it? Because it's convenient. And
because it's convenient.
Those examples were great, perfect.
Yeah.
But we touched on also just pre-interview about white labeling. How can it be white labeled if you have the Stasher dashboard?
Yeah, good question. I suppose technically what we do that's more common than literally white labeling is co-branding. So when we've worked with either property managers or other travel companies, for example, like Interrail or Eurail, we create a co-branded flow. So when the user sort of follows the tracking link, you also get the Interrail logo or your property manager logo, whatever it may be, following you through the Stasher flow, just to create that feeling of continuity. So I know that's not technically a white label, but that's an option. We do have thank you. Yeah, we do have a couple of full serious white labels. The best example I can give you is actually it was a completely random opportunity that we took up, which was with the South Korean company called Good Luck when we were first expanding into Asia, and they approached us and said, "Hey, we really like your service, and we offer this whole suite of travel services to customers. Would you mind if we white label it and provide it in Korean to our customers?" And we said, absolutely, why not? And it was actually a really good learning experience for our tech team, our developers, to basically make our API documentation suitable for a partner to use and integrate. And now I quite enjoy looking at it because it's I recognize everything about the features. I can't read a word of what it says, but it's really useful to reach a whole different market. And so that option totally does exist for the right kind of partner who'd be willing to make the effort to make the integration. But I'd say probably for the audience that we're talking, the audience that's listening today, the co-branding option is probably the more suitable one. But yeah, it's we're always keen to take any opportunities that sound mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Now, where is your target audience? What sort of locations are you in right now?
So we are in over 70 countries, over 600 cities, and we now have over 3,000 shops and hotels on the platform, which are which are numbers I'm quite proud of, and obviously we're always looking to grow that. This year in particular, we've been really focusing on Latin America and Southeast Asia, trying to cover those kind of popular backpacking destinations. We started in London. Technically, we started in London in 2015 when my co-founder and I were students. And that founding story, not to go off on a complete tangent, but that was kind of funny because people always assumed that it was because we were traveling and encountered the problem. It was actually the opposite way around. It was that people would often ask to leave bags at Anthony's place because he lived so centrally in London. And he made a joke about charging people. And we were like, wait a second, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now I've distracted myself. I can't remember what I was saying. Locations, yeah. So we actually, the beauty of the service is it should be really scalable. So for us, it's, the reason we've expanded so fast isn't because we've traveled all over the world sort of signing up, is because it's a platform. It's like you said, it's a listing site. So, people can apply and it all functions completely remotely. And we want to be able to offer it to anyone, anywhere who's traveling, who might find themselves with this particular use case. For now, I know our audience is primarily British or American or European, and we're hoping that the more destinations we offer and the more languages we're able to offer the service in, the more we'll be able to reach a wider audience. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's defined more by use case than by demographic. And with property managers, there's again no real sort of selection filtering. We are happy to work with property managers of any size, any destination, where we're able to help you out.
Great. That's great. How does a property manager apply? They just get in touch with you? Because on Stasher, it looks like it's the guest portal. How does a manager get in touch with you to say, I want to join up?
Good question. So I can send you a link after. We can attach it to the show notes, but there's a URL, which is stasher.com/ I think it's partners.
I'll put it in the description below.
I'll double check that to make sure I've got that right. But yeah, you're also very welcome to get in touch with me. I'm Jacob at stasher.com. Our partnerships manager is Pericles at stasher.com. I can share those emails too. And fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, there's a really simple form that you can fill in that will generate you your tracking link. When I say it's simple, I think it's literally got like 4 or 5 fields. So, we're talking less than a minute, and then you're good to go.
Lovely. Before we start wrapping up, I just want to talk about a little bit of icing on the cake that I saw, because of course I have to go through the whole journey without actually hitting pay now. I have to go through the whole journey. And I noticed that if I wanted to, I could buy a couple of trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then I went down that little rabbit hole and I found that you actually have Tree Point.
We do. Good observation.
The Green Path podcast. So I thought, isn't this lovely? They're melding. So yes. So a guest can offset or just choose to buy 2 trees when they check out, right?
Yeah, absolutely that. It's part of our sort of mission to not just make travel more fun and convenient, but also more sustainable if possible. So Tree Points is a project that we started during COVID, basically when the second lockdown was looming, and we realized it might be years before Stasher sort of came back to full force. And thankfully that happened last year, and 2022 was the year that we fully recovered. So it's really nice to be able to say that. Whereas for the whole of 2020 and 2021, it was always just like, hopefully next year. But Tree Points was the project that kept us busy really during that time, which was fantastic. I was super grateful for the opportunity to work on that with Anthony, my co-founder. And what we did with that was just build some simple APIs that allow companies to embed things like offsetting carbon or planting trees or just taking or recycling plastic, but taking sustainable actions. And then we got more into it, and we developed sort of carbon footprinting tools to actually allow you to be more sophisticated about sort of measuring your impact and offsetting it properly, as opposed to just kind of like the nice touch kind of planting trees. So we could go into that in more detail. I could get too excited about that. But
but I just liked that you added it on, because I've spoken to so some PMS companies, and they were, well, can I add it on the end of the checkout to, you know, buy some trees, carbon offsetting, things like that. So it was just really nice to, oh, look, it's there on the checkout. That was lovely.
Yeah, good spot. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So look, we've come to the end. Is there anything else that we need to know about Stasher that we haven't discussed yet?
Good question. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground, which is great. The thing I'd say I'm most excited about with Stasher is just that now that things are back up to full speed and it's bigger than it's ever been, it's serving more customers than ever before. The thing that I'm really excited for is just to launch it as widely as possible. And you know, I think particularly for a travel company that's kind of aspiring to be super international, it's at its most useful when you can reliably use it everywhere. And I don't think we're there yet. I think, you know, in the UK we're actually pretty much there. Every sort of small town that has a Premier Inn is now is now covered by us, which is a nice position to be in. But you know, there's large sections of Europe and America and Australia, and then the rest of the world, which we've only just started working on, where we could do with better coverage. So, you know, watch out for that in the next couple of years. I hope that we'll really expand on that. And yeah, again, if you're interested in working with us or have any feedback on using the product yourself, I'm always really happy to hear it. I get really happy when friends or sort of friends of friends or acquaintances sort of randomly email and say, oh, you know, I stored a bag with you recently, and whatever the feedback is, hopefully normally good. But even if it's bad, it's great to, you know, always have these learnings and try and make the product better as much as possible.
I'll put all the contact details, and if you have any questions about the affiliate link and things like that, it'll all be down in the comments or the description.
Amazing.
I think it's a great service for guests and a really great service for a property manager to offer their guests too, because we don't want unhappy guests. And like you said, at the end, oh, can we have a late checkout? And you have to say no. Oh, that last feeling when you've had a great holiday and then I've got to take my bags with me. What do I do? To offer that is great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, so it's been really great learning about Stasher. This is the thing about Techsplained. I've heard of Stasher for how many years? And now I know what Stasher does properly.
Thank you. Yeah. No, really, it's been a pleasure being here. It's really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for your time, Jacob. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to catch up on ones you've missed, just head to thetechsplainedseries.com. Or if you're short for time, you can head to thetechminis.com, where you'll find extra short interviews. See you next time.